Hey, Aloha, Soul Fam. Welcome to our end of days. That's DAZE. I'm just, as you can tell, I don't know, even before I do anything else, you can probably tell, right? Did a whole big shave. My beard, my mustache. I usually get my head anyway, but yeah, it's, just, it was time to get it like a clean slate, I guess is the best way to put it. Since I'm in a house now, I've got facilities, things are, on a physical level, things are really looking up for me. And it's so funny because today, this morning, I woke up, and one of my videos I made before is just kind of like a point of like and I know it's a prolonged experience, but it's something which always like tails me, especially when I am, especially in the past. Like it's gotten better in some ways, but talking about anhedonia, where I woke up and it's just like I should be super grateful. I should be super happy about being in this position, this house, everything. And what I was feeling was just like slogged, like just like the the slog, man. I don't know what to call it. It's this feeling of just blah, and not just like a oh I'm bored blah. It's just like a crushing existential blah. Like this is and this is part of the message that I wanted to talk to about today too. Why I feel that way, and what's been revealed to me, and why I think this message this time has come, and why I'm starting to put material out here again is because it's time, you guys. It's time. I'm just getting the signs for it. So anyway, I got something here for me, maybe for you too, right? Hey, cheers, you guys! Cheers, some coffee, right? Some coffee. It's been a while, guys. It's been a long while for me. At least waking up in the morning for coffee. Anyway, I just wanted to do that. I know coffee's maybe not the best. Maybe it's okay. Neutral maybe at best. I'm working on some of the attachments. I guess is the best way to put it. Because I don't want to get I don't want to fall into what a lot of housed people have before. And this everything ties together, guys. I'll try to condense everything so it like makes sense because it's just I'm excited. So I listen to stuff in the morning because it helps me kind of align with stuff. I still could get into some better habits for the morning, but when you're waking up in the slog, it's just like it's hard to do anything. So any movement forward, any kind of effort toward I don't know what to call it, confronting it, because it's not trying to distract myself from the slog. It's not try. It's really just it's like embracing it, but trying to understand what it means. And so, as I was saying, some of the things that I was listening to today kind of pointed things out, um, like in a good balance way too, where the first thing that I listened to, I think is essentially evil. Like is the best way to put it. And to excuse me, still getting over my cold. I don't know if you can hear it, but and you might think that's quite a way to start the day listening to something evil. But it also made me realize too, because it's just like sometimes the sharpest lie, starts with the truth, is tipped with the truth, and so we have to be very, very vigilant and very, very discerning about what we're listening to, and that discernment comes from my experience. The mind just goes, all right, it can attach to anything, but to determine whether or not it's a path that we want to go down, that's what the heart's for. That's what feelings are for. And I'm not talking about bodily sensations per se. I'm talking about like I would say the divine feminine, the emotional part of us. And this is also why I've had conflict with some of Christianity, some of the Christian thought, and it's getting really blurry sometimes. Oh man, that's so weird. I think it has to do with the mirror here. And so if I'm not doing it in the mirror, it's less blurry. Sorry guys, I just got it's whatever the phone. It's just the equipment that I got right now. Um, so we'll tip it a bit, a little more clear, right? Uh, like I said, raw and unedited, guys, all the time. So at least for this channel, at least for what's going on. Excuse me. So that's why vigilance is so important. That's also why I've had trouble, I guess, like trouble just embracing what most Christian churches and Christian followers seem to have, where there's just I would almost say, complete denial of the divine feminine. Because if you think about the Holy Trinity, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All of them are male. Like, and to me, that's unbalanced. What you're looking at is an unbalanced equation. This is also why, excuse me, this is also why I tend to rebuke the typical saying of the right hand path and the left hand path, depending on how you're phrasing it. Because if the right hand path is the masculine in this case, then the feminine has nowhere else to go but the left hand path. and so rather than it being like a handshake and a reconciliation, it becomes an adversarial relationship. Because it's two divines that are essentially misunderstanding each other, is what I would say, maybe, whether that's intentional or not, through certain actors, let's just say. Anyway, regardless, this has to do with existence, you guys. And so the reason that I like Christianity in many ways, depending upon particular interpretations, is because it helps unify us, and it helps give hope and faith and fellowship in certain situations in ways that most of the world around us right now do not. At the same time, I'm going to be 100% honest here, you guys. We're being corralled into it, all right? And I want that to be very, very clear, where I'm aware, all right? I'm aware. And there's particular sources and instances where I know we're being corralled into Christianity. And so be very aware of that. Because devotion's a very powerful thing, but being devoted to just a book, and moreover, being devoted to someone in particular's interpretation of the book, without allowing discussion, without allowing alternative interpretations, without even being able to discuss it. This is the problem, or the issue, that I have with much of Christianity. And also why being corralled into it in that way is not a good thing, you guys. And I got into a discussion with this with a pastor. We'll see how we're doing on time, right? I'll try to keep this low. That's a joke, right? That's a joke. Where he wanted to essentially strong arm people into discipleship. And what I would call it is promotion over attraction, where, evangelize, get people to come, and how do they do that, you guys? Like, through a lot of it is bribery. And it's so funny because it seems like I'm hitting on Christianity, even though I'm a Christian. All right. And that's the irony of this, is that moreover than a label, I want the truth, you guys, the truth, the way, and the life. And I think that's what every Christian should be behind that statement, where it doesn't matter what words we come in. It doesn't matter the label that we come in. What's the spirit that we come in? The authentic spirit is what's important for us, okay? It's what's going to get us by. It's what's going to get us out of the slog, you guys. Like, to me, that's what salvation is. That's what being saved is. It's exiting the slog of this, and I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just kind of what we were all born into, original sin, I guess you could say. Because there's many different ways to say it, And I know I'm more open than many Christians to hearing different languages, different interpretations. And it's just my path, I guess. To me, I lean on the fact that, okay, I in this case, I want to be saved. I want to be saved from the slog. And I have a very specific interpretation of what that means to be saved. All right. With that said, also, I want to help other people be saved as much as possible too, because it's not me saving them. All right. It's them choosing to be saved, and there's a huge difference with that. And I hope other Christians can get behind this statement. And this is also why I say, rather than promotion over attraction. We should do attraction over promotion. This is why, for the gospel truth, we should be living the gospel way before we start preaching it to other people. Now, in the process, I get it. This is why I always say there's only one absolute, because in the process of preaching the gospel, you kind of have to see yourself and be like, all right, there's I'm preaching this to other people who are, way outside the church. And am I living this? Am I living these truths? Am I being a good example for these people? And that's something which takes a certain level of consciousness, I guess you'd say, because there's individuals who are involved in the church who are just less conscious, and I don't want to poo-poo, anybody who's part of the faith, anyone who's really on the path, because some people are going to be less conscious in the church, and that's okay. The real thing is about where their choice factors at, because the way that I kind of see things, to take a quote from a movie, get busy living or get busy dying. And so to me, what this means is just like, are we on the path to becoming more aware and more conscious, or are we on the path to becoming less conscious, which is resulting in unconsciousness? And this is why either path isn't bad per se. From my understanding and estimates, and experience, my firsthand experience, and what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I've been shown, the revelations shown to me. Anybody with a pure heart, anybody asking, you get what you receive. All right, I'm just telling you, letting you know, reminding you. The path of unconsciousness, it starts easy. It starts super easy. That's when people just do drugs. That's when people just act from a gut reaction. That initial unconsciousness is I'm going to say the flesh. That's what the Bible tells us to rebuke, is essentially the path of unconsciousness. And but it's I don't know how to say this. It's of the self, but it's not the complete self. All right, it's a path. I would say it's from my, I don't know if I've ever posted these videos, but it's a subjective point of view. And so if I say, I don't want to really exist, right? I don't like existence, so I'm going to go unconscious. At first, it's a relief. At first, it's fine. The animal part of us, the flesh part of us, essentially takes over, and then and it feels better at first. But the long road, it becomes horrid. Like, just in a nutshell, it's horrid. Being unconscious in that kind of a situation, because, like, I just mean this, where it's just like we become a slave. We become a slave to the animal, and breaking out of that unconsciousness becomes harder and harder and more difficult because we keep feeding it, essentially. And this is why the other path, taking up our cross, what that means is the cross of consciousness, you guys, staying conscious or becoming conscious and choosing to continue to be conscious. It's the flipped around path, if you ask me. It's horrid. All right, you wake up and it's just like, oh my God, everything's painful and everything's crappy, and it's just it's not a good time at first. All right, but this is why being an example of what it means to be a Christian is so important, because when you take up that cross and you keep going with consciousness, with conscious direction in your life, this is where Jesus is. All right, this was the path that Jesus walked. All right, and this is why it eventually becomes easier. It becomes better. It becomes peaceful. And that's the path of unconsciousness does not lead to that at all. And also, as I was saying from before, this path of consciousness is a unification of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. All right, this is not an exclusion of either one. And this is also why I can't get on board with a lot of what Christians, what some Christian churches and interpreters, I guess is the best way to say it, posit. Because and it's one of those funny things too. I'm going to go over 15 minutes. I can post those now, so I'll go a little bit over, because what ends up being is just like, no, my interpretation is the right interpretation, and I've fallen into this category as well. I feel like I allow other people to have other interpretations, but this is also why I discern through my heart. And a lot of times I amend my interpretation based upon other people's interpretation. This is why the body of Christ is so important. Is that as an isolated individual, my interpretation of the gospel and the truth and the way that things are is how it is, and I can't expand or incorporate more unless I interact with others who are also on the path, of consciousness, is what I would say. And and I don't mean this even in a new agey way. All right, this is stuff which has been espoused for thousands of years now, you guys. It's just different language to describe it, and this is also why I get heated, and I want to hold the churches and certain individuals accountable, because to me, worshiping a man in the sky is not what Christianity is about. Worshiping a man in the sky, like who came down and then did some magic tricks and then went back up to heaven, you've missed the purpose of the Bible. You've totally missed the real interpretations that are going to create salvation for our souls, you guys, for our eternal souls. And so walking into this, I know I'm jumping around a lot, but walking into this is like, I'm just gonna this might be heavy for some people, and they can dismiss it. So it doesn't matter at this point. I'm not breaking any rules by revealing this. Existence, we got it. All right. Here's the factor. All right, and as bitter as it is, it's just like you, me, we do not get to choose whether we exist or not. All right, we exist, and this is the hidden aspect of Christianity. People are like, "Oh, well, I want to live eternally." Where it's just like, do you understand, when you really read and interpret the Bible, there's only eternal souls that we're talking about here. So we're eternal. All right, we exist no matter what. The real choice is, what are we doing? If we're choosing to live consciously, what we're doing is we're directing the current of our lives and where we're going. If we're choosing to be unconscious, then what's happening is we're being led. All right, and see that very, very clearly. We're being led by the flesh. We're being led by, I don't even want to say base desires, because it's like a survival mechanism. It's just like, if pain is so much, if the pain of existence is so much, okay, you can be unconscious because you're going to exist no matter what. And that's the premise. That's what I'm talking about here. This is why it's so important. Excuse me. Because we exist no matter what. And so would you rather exist in unconsciousness, like slapping yourself, burning yourself, and then blaming outside circumstances? Or would you rather walk the path of consciousness, the path of Jesus, and be like, okay, guess who's burning me? And guess who's burning myself? Me. All right. It's not God burning me. It's not the devil burning me. It's me burning me. And claiming that responsibility is what Jesus did. All right. I can go on with that, but this is just why it's so important to recognize this aspect of this eternal aspect and facing it. All right, and that there is a way out. That there's not even a way out of existence. There's just a way out of that misery and that pain, and then it's a process too, because as eternal beings, all right, as an eternal soul, we can remain unconscious. All right. But here's what I see. The universe and God are going to keep prodding us or keep poking us, all right? To a certain degree, we're always going to be poked and prodded to wake up, to take the path of salvation. And this is why choosing the path of unconsciousness is I think, a bad time. Best way to say it. Now, other people, if you're not attracted to this material or the path of consciousness, you're not even going to look at my videos. You're not even going to be interested in them. It's just a drivel. I'm just blah, blah, blah. Another Jesus freak. There's so many different ways to go about it. And this is, I think, what may be confusing for some, I don't know what to say, Orthodox Christians, because I don't even want to say traditional Christians, because I think the original Christianity was closer to what I'm talking about, you guys. I'm sorry. It's just, It's getting blurry again, and it's just a phone, you guys. It's just a phone. Thanks for being with me here, dealing with the technical stuff that I have to deal with. And I hope, oh God, man, I've been holding the phone in a certain way, so I hope you've been able to hear me, because it's one of those things where, all right, here we go. I'm on fire. I'm on fire for Jesus. But what does that mean? What does that mean? And I ask that so that we can get fully behind that statement. Because when people say they're on fire for Jesus, I think a lot of the times you can see it in their tone of their voice. You can see through there's many different ways to say it, their aura, their vibe, that it's just like they're on fire for, what I would say, they're not even really on fire. They're tied to a story which they haven't assigned meaning to, I guess, is the best way to say it for me. And so this is why assigning meaning to what Jesus is, what Jesus means, is so important. And taking somebody else's interpretation of what Jesus is or what Jesus means, I would say is unconscious, man. It's I would dare I say sinful, because but you can take from other people. You could, like just like from me. I hope those who are on the path of consciousness as well, who are on the path of Jesus, walk with me. All right, and this is, I believe it's what Paul said as well. We're just like, walk with me, guys, walk with me, because I'm walking with Jesus. All right, if you don't think I'm walking with Jesus, don't follow me. All right, don't do it. It's like straight up, just straight up. In this case, walk with consciousness, walk with Jesus. All right, walk with the Christ, and walk with those who are walking with him, because we will show each other. And this is what I'm doing as well. Okay, I don't want to be isolated. All right, I've been isolated. I've been on the mountain for a long freaking time, so to speak, by myself, just with God, learning what I've needed to learn. But it's so I can come back into here and live it, you guys. And it was a long homeless stint that I ended up having, and I had some difficult times. But I'm starting to get back in the church, and it's just, I'm running into some of these issues again. And so and even Christianity, man, just like the Bible, and they tell us, just like, it's funny because I feel like I am more likely, in my opinion, to be crucified by other Christians than I am just people on the streets per se. And it is the way that it is. It's because people become attached to unconsciousness. I don't know. I get sad, you guys. It's just, I don't know how else to interpret it sometimes, where it's just like people don't know Jesus. People say that they know Jesus, but then they don't know Jesus. All right. And this is lukewarm Christians, the false Christians, people who have dipped their toe into it. And this is why I think it's so important to be with individuals who are truly conscious, and understand what's at stake here, what's at stake. Because I don't want to say even if, to me it's beyond if. I'm just positing it for you as an if, so you have free will, because you have choice. You can discard whatever I say. And so maybe I shouldn't even posit it as an if. But since we are eternal beings, since we are eternal souls, what is important? All right, it's to walk in consciousness, because that is how we will be able to direct ourselves. That is where we will be able to, instead of slapping ourselves or burning ourselves, we're going to be able to be like, wait a second, no, I'm not going to stick my hand in the fire. I'm not going to slap myself and then blame the world around me. It's not circumstances which are dictating my way. Excuse me, it's my consciousness which is dictating the way. And this is what the path means, you guys. This is what it means to walk with Jesus. It's walking in that consciousness. And yes, it's hard at first, because you have to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility for yourself and where you've come from. And it's also forgiving yourself. It's also allowing that forgiveness to flow, because guess what? A lot of those choices that we made were in unconsciousness. All right? We were doing the best with what we had at the time. The important thing is to claim responsibility now, is to claim that consciousness now. Because if we don't, that's what hell is, you guys. It's just like, what that means is the pokes and the prods from God are going to get harder and harder and harder. All right, because that's what it is, man. That's what it is. And I think that's what they mean when they say to fear God. That's how I interpret it. It's just like don't, it's not to be afraid per se. What it means is just like the power's in our hands, and so choosing unconsciousness, God's gonna prod the frick out of us, man. He's just gonna keep prodding and prodding and prodding us, and it's gonna get more and more painful because God wants us to be conscious, and He's gonna compel us toward consciousness. And I would say, in certain languages and everything, our future selves are conscious. And so they're going to come back and keep prodding us to the point where we in the past would become conscious of it. And so there's no end, guys. That's what I mean, and I don't see hell as an end. Hell is a horrible place to be. All right. But so much of it exists here on earth. All right. Just as heaven here exists on earth. And I know that people are going to, argue with me there, say different interpretations, but it's how we interpret the data. It's how we interpret the gospel. It's how we interpret the words. And this is why initially I was so attracted to Buddhism, is because it was about being here and now. All right. It wasn't putting off my consciousness or happiness and or salvation to a future date where it's just like, well, someday I'll be saved. All I have to do is flog myself, over and over, and burn myself over and over, because that's what they're telling me to do. And so then, at the end of this lifetime, when I'm old and decrepit, and I'm bitter and mostly unconscious, and then I'll be granted this magical, hall pass to heaven, to the celestial heaven. And to me, that's a lie. That's a lie, guys. And this is why I'm so on fire for this. Is that we're this is what I mean when I say we're better than this, man. We deserve better. We can do better. All right, as humanity, where we have the capacity to be conscious, and it's difficult at first. All right, it's super difficult, but it's the most rewarding. All right, and there's many different ways, many different languages to come by. And at the moment, I'm using as much as I can the Christian language, and I'm with the Christian people. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful because there's a language and a way that I can communicate with people through Christianity to unlock this, to be able to help people walk the path. And this is why I keep asking questions. It's to get other people to ask the questions too. It's not to dismiss Jesus. It's not to question the validity of Jesus. It's to say, what does Jesus mean? All right, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to us? As the body of Christ, what does it mean? All right. And for me, I've been defining it, and I continue to define it. And defining it is very important. When it's left to unconsciousness, I see this projection. I see this projection of Christianity, to see this projection of Jesus to these outside external forces. Which, what does that mean? It's unconsciousness. We're not walking with Jesus. We're just paying lip homage to him. Then we're that is like the factor. When Jesus says, I don't know you. You didn't walk with me. You might have said my name in a bunch of instances, but did you know what I meant? Did you know what my name meant? And so I know I've kind of gone off here. It's been a long time. I'll start to wrap this up here. I'll try to keep it at least under 30 minutes, or around 30 minutes for the longer ones. But it's just this is what it means to me, and I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I'm scared, you guys. And maybe it's just I'm worried, But it's just, I don't want to diminish the what I feel too. I'm still gonna go. That's what courage is, moving in spite of fear. But I'm scared of being excommunicated, you guys. I know I've talked about it before, but me even using the right language doesn't matter, because if people are dedicated, and there's individuals who will lose their power structure because they've created an elaborate illusion upon what Jesus is, externalizing Jesus, making Jesus out there, making something which is outside of us. Guess what? When that happens, people are like, oh, yeah, Jesus, I need direction. I need this. I'm not going to turn within. I'm not going to ask for the Jesus within. I'm going to look I'm going to look to my pastor. I'm going to look to other people's interpretation. I can't interpret it myself. I'm just this fleshly being, right? I'm just this fleshly being and I can't interpret anything. It's just like, whoa, no, 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 no. No, that is the path of unconsciousness, you guys. That's not walking with Jesus. That's walking away from Jesus. And it's just like I said, it is what it is, guys. And I'm walking forward regardless. And it's just like I'm not dropping this either. Even if I'm excommunicated, all right. Even if this particular church kicks me out eventually, if they find these videos or they end up saying just like Keith, you got to accept Jesus and the salvation of Jesus. I'll be like, I have, all right. Have you accepted it? You're accusing me of not accepting Jesus into my heart. When have you? All right, that's the question. And I'm not even talking about you as the viewer. I'm talking about, well, it depends on who the viewer is, right? Because right now it's just, these are just vlogs that I'm essentially just keeping for myself and posting on YouTube because who else is here, right? Um, anyway, just getting on with it. Oh man, you guys, I'm sorry. Itchy eyes. Ah. I don't mean anything by that either, all right? I know there's way too much symbolism and freaking stuff going on here. Whew. But just hear my words, hear the vibe that I'm coming across, all right? I'm still waking up, still got my coffee, right? I should have a drink, a little toast to us, right? I'm trying to keep it out of the mirror. Whatever, guys, whatever. It's getting better. I'm getting better at this, slowly but surely. And I got to think of more plans and stuff. I want to make more regular content. I have more access now. And it's just like that. That's also why it's just, I don't want to be too heated with the people who are doing their best. All right. And that's what I mean, where it's just like, I feel like if I'm so heated sometimes, it's because many Christians, many people of earnest devotion have devoted themselves and left themselves open to manipulation, to things that they don't need to. That if there was more of a conscious path rather than a path of routine, a path of programming, because that's when Christianity becomes about that, when it's about dogma, this book, and then a harsh interpretation by certain individuals. What does that mean, you guys? And then I'm not giving or being open from a place of genuine feeling, of genuine connection with these other human beings. I'm giving because I'm told to. This is what it's expected of me, and to me, that's not authentic. All right, giving from that place, it's like wearing a mask. It's like, well, here you go. I'm gonna give you my stuff because I'm promised this heaven at the end of this lifetime. And I don't really feel like doing it, but here you go. It's like you're robbing yourself of the gift of giving, and you're robbing these other people the gift of truly receiving, because it's just like, well, thanks for this. Do you really want to give me this? Because I'm getting these mixed messages. It seems like giving this to me because you're obligated to, and if you're obligated to give this to me, that's not honoring free will. That's not honoring the eternal beings that we are. Like, this is why consciousness is so important, you guys. Why walking with Jesus is so important, because in that consciousness, we want to give. We want to pay it forward. This is what preaching the gospel is. This is what me being saved is. This is what being an example is. Like, this is the attraction over promotion, where it's just like when someone is authentically living, when someone is truly walking with Jesus, all right, directing their life consciously, it is the night and day difference. People see where it's just like, wow, this person goes through hardships and they're still smiling, like genuinely. And they cry and they experience other stuff. They're still human beings, in the most realist sense of the world. But the circumstances which used to dictate my emotions don't do that anymore. And it's because I'm not unconscious. It's because I'm conscious. And how did this happen? All right? It's because I chose it. All right? And this is what it means to choose to be saved. This is the same thing. And if Christians are not being an example of what it means to be saved, if they're lukewarm, best, then of course people are going to turn away from that. All right. You're like, you need to follow Jesus. You need to follow Jesus. Oh, and I don't really have that much peace, but I'll have a plaster smile on my face, doing that Mickey Mouse voice there. It is in the correlations there. Wow, guys, wow. The falsity, all right, just the false city, guys, false city. Oh man, I'm on a roll here today. Okay, I better wrap it up. You guys. I love you guys. I love you guys. Thanks for walking this path with me. All right. I'm getting better at this. This is still kind of new for me. I do have experience filming myself a little bit. Um, but it's getting easier, and especially when I know this message needs to come out. All right. And it's just like, it's not even about me at this point. It's about us. All right. About us as a people, as the body of Christ, and what that means. All right. And so, yeah, ask those questions. All right. If I'm gonna wrap this up here and leave this on a note, right? Because asking those questions will create clarity for us. And if a church or a people or an interpreter of any of these things cannot clarify, or they clarify in a way where you don't like, walk away from that. All right, just do it. Or at the very, very least, maybe in the circumstance which is similar to me, where it's just like, if you're on fire for Jesus, if you're interpreting it and it's giving you peace, and you're walking with the path, and it's just and you know that you're on the right path, and you're surrounded with people who are not quite interpreting it in the way that you are, who are still operating, I would say, from a pre-programmed response way. That's okay. Like, it's okay to pray with people who are still unconscious, all right, but just make sure that you're like, I'm pointing to my heart here too, but just like the cohesion, the heart mind cohesion, all right. um, when you're praying with people, keep that cohesion, all right. And that's what's important. Like, don't, like, this is also why it's so important, you guys. Like, I want to find people who are more, I don't know what to say, on the level with me, who are like that. But I also understand I might be kind of isolated, and if that's the case, I gotta remain that way, not in a bad way. I just mean, I can be in a group of people, all right, anyone. Um, I don't think this is exactly the same, but it's like Daniel in the lion's den. It's just, there's different metaphors, different ways to say it, where it's just like, sometimes we got to be alone. And then if our consciousness, if our path with Jesus is dictated upon who we're with, um, then there's a limitation. And so it's both, where it's just like, I crave fellowship, you guys. I truly crave fellowship. But if fellowship turns into tribalism, if it turns into pre-programmed responses, dictated, just stay with the herd, don't ask questions. That's not Christianity. That's not what Jesus wants. That's not being saved. Like, I will call it out. I will absolutely call it out. Whew, okay, this went on a little bit longer. I know I keep trying to wrap it up here. There's just, man, there's so much to say, you guys. So much to say. And I'm grateful, you guys. I'm grateful for you walking with me. At the very least, you're watching my stuff. Whoever that is, random peeps. Uh, and I'm grateful. I guess I should plug that, right? It's the whole thing. And I want to frame it in the right way too. I'll try to keep this under 40, right? Where if I say, oh, like my video, right? Subscribe if you like my stuff. I agree with that. But the reason is to create a fellowship, all right? To create a real energy, a real fellowship out here, all right? That we can talk about this stuff, that we can discuss this stuff, and that we can clarify what Jesus means to us as individuals and us as a group, as the body. And that there's no wrong way to really interpret it. There's just kind of what works for individuals and what might not work for individuals. And I know a lot of interpreters would say otherwise, but I would say they're coming from a place of flesh. They're coming from a place of ego, you guys, and that's why discernment's so important. That's why Jesus is all about the heart too, the heart-mind cohesion. So I guess we'll leave it there. Like if you like it, subscribe if you want more. Um, let's create this community, guys. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So, peace out. Love within, and catch you on the flip side.